Good day, guys. Today's video, we're gonna talk about the Polaris Xpedition, kind of a 3-month review. I've had the machine, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, I think. Before we start, I hope to remind you to, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe, like, share, hit the bell notification so you don't miss anything, and you catch our future content. We got some good stuff coming. So before we start, I'm going to ask my wife, because she was the skeptic when I bought this machine. Oh, it can't be that much more comfortable. What did you think yesterday? We went on our first good, or somewhat long ride. We put on about 70 kilometers yesterday, and the wife was in the machine. What'd you think, babe?
I really liked it. I found it very comfortable. We were riding for what, 6-7 hours, and it was comfortable the whole ride, whether we were going up hilly rocks or bumpy mud. It was fun. Yeah, I had a lot of fun yesterday. It was really nice.
And when we got out of the machine at the end of the day, we actually felt like doing something for once. You know, the old high lifter, we got out of the machine. It was, number one, you're almost in a hurry to get home because the machine was so rough. It had beaten you up. Then it's, oh, let's go for dinner over at this people's campsite. And, you know, it was almost miserable because your body was so sore. With this thing, it's night and day difference. Would you?
Yeah, totally night and day. The only thing that I miss is the mud. You don't get as muddy, but that is a good thing as well.
And I'm the opposite. I don't miss being covered in that stuff. But here we go. We'll get. Oh yeah, and remember, guys, happy wife, happy life. If she's comfy in the machine, it makes longer days more fun for everybody. But here we go. We'll start talking about. Oh, and it was also Hunter's first ride yesterday. He seemed to approve. But here we go. So all around, this machine has just been awesome. It's like we talked about, the comfort level. You people that complain about the noise, you must have the ADV or the North Star. Or, you know, in comparison to the machine we had before, the noise in this machine is awesome. It's quiet. You can have a conversation without yelling and screaming at each other. So I've just touched on that for a minute because compared to our old machine, this thing is awesome. One thing I'm not liking so far, I don't know if it's just me and the way I drive, but the door handles could be a better design. This could be a flush mount door handle. Yes, I'm bushwhacking, and I'm driving a machine that's wider than what I'm used to. You know, in the old Razor, the body of the machine, you know, was halfway, you know, you had at least half of the tire sticking out past the fender. So going through the trails, you kind of protected the body that way because you had to drive between trees that were wide enough for the tires to get through. This poor thing is taking a beating from me bushwhacking it. You know, the plastics aren't holding up. And I gotta admit, it's a different driving style. You know, the Razor, the roof was also leaned in, you know, where it come from the door, and it made it narrow at the top. You're going between two trees, you hit a tree root on the other tree, body leans over, bang, off comes this stuff up high. But this door handle design it's just bad. Don't get me wrong, it's taken a whack or two from the trees that I've been going between, as you can see by the scratches and the scuffs, and I feel terrible, but I bought it to drive it. I didn't buy it to sand dune it. I didn't buy it to rock crawl it. It's been getting drove hard and put away wet. My rock sliders are pretty beat up. That's mostly from that first trip to Onion Lake. That was narrow trails, lots of rock crawling. And you know, you get stuck. That 4,500 pound winch on this machine seems to tow this machine just great. There's a lot of people upgrading to 6,000 pound. I don't find it necessary. I've had this thing pushing silt up level with the bottom of the rad, and that winch just keeps pulling. The ergonomics of this interior is just killer. because they made the body wider, there's more room in here between the seats, between your shoulders. The console is actually, you know, pretty usable. But making the body wider made it made it more susceptible to damage up here. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You gotta tolerate what you gotta tolerate when you make the choice. The ride command is awesome. When you're with a few other people that have that, you know where they are. You know, yesterday the trails were so tight we couldn't tell where each person was. And you could look at the ride command and you'd say 0.2 of a kilometer away, 0.4 of a kilometer away, and show you the direction you had to go. For a big group trail ride, that is just the cat's meow. Loved it. One little glitch, but that both the wife and I agree on, is those handles in the doors. I don't think those could be in any worse a place. If you're driving in rough country and bouncing back and forth in the cab, even with the seatbelt on, those things hurt your legs. And it's not like the old Razor where you bought a pad to cover all that metal framing in there. That actually sticks out quite a ways. Now, on the flip side of that, it's supposed to be a handle. Maybe a person should just be holding on to it. But again, if you're holding on to the steering wheel and you're getting thrown into that thing, it hurts. It's Charlie horse like you wouldn't believe. And I don't know. I think they could be in a slightly better place. Another thing I wanted to touch on was, and yeah, getting back to the plastic thing again. You know, I've been driving it pretty hard, narrow trails, bushwhacking, but here's just an example of why I think maybe the plastic is starting to get substandard. Closed this glove box and the latch just disappeared into the dashboard. It's now got the duct tape upgrade. I think I'm gonna redesign that though. I'm gonna do something magnetic like the Can-Ams do. The wider body again, another pro. When it rains, this is totally covering you in the passenger's compartment. You know, in the old Razor, because this leaned in at the top, your shoulder was out in the rain and you got wet even though you had a roof. The roof also extends a little further up into the dash and keeps your legs dry. That's just amazing. You know, in the old Razor, it used to drip off the roof and straight onto your knees. This thing is just creature comfort. Keeps you out of the elements way better. But a drawback to that is this A-pillar is far enough ahead that when it lets go of the tree branch and the tree branch comes into the cab, it is doing full speed by the time it gets to you. It really smacks you in the face. We took some pretty good hits there yesterday. That trail we were on was narrow. All in all though, was it worth it? Yeah. You know, that having all this storage, back seat, in the box, you know, my little temporary plywood mount from my Milwaukee packouts, it actually turned out to be permanent. It's just working, so I'm not going to get rid of it. Overnight camping trip, yep, we've done it. It hauled everything two people needed to go into Onion Lake, set up camp, and it got both of us, and both of us are big guys, got both of us in there comfortably and reliably. And one thing I'm going to say is, this thing's rated for towing 2,500 pounds, and you're like, no way, it's only 2,500 pounds. Well, on an ATV rally we were at here not too long ago, we wound up helping stranded people. We volunteer at the end of the day. We do a kind of a search and rescue after the rally is over. This machine towed machines that were bigger. Can-Am Maverick X3 4s, people in them, you know, 3 people, 4 people in some of them, and the belt didn't slip once. The clutching on this thing is amazing. I'm still on my first belt. I've checked it a couple times. Everything there is spotless clean. I can't get over what this machine towed and didn't overheat, didn't smoke the belt, and didn't really have any trouble. At one point, the rope broke, lost the machine that was behind me, and I didn't even know the difference. It took me 100 yards or so to look in the mirror and see that that machine wasn't back there. So it just tows. The torque, the 3 settings of throttle response on the dash, you know, the comfort, sport, standard, they actually work. You know, when you're bouncing up and down on rocks and you're in sport mode, you know it. You can't bounce around inside the cab without hitting the throttle pedal, and you almost get motion sickness, and you switch it down to comfort or standard even, and the thing just becomes more controllable. It's a good machine. That long ride yesterday was just an example of, you know, why we chose it, and it's working out real well. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and just to remind you again, please subscribe, hit the notification, like, share. We'll talk to you in a bit.